Hello everyone. The National Council of Women is 34 years old today, since an Act of Parliament was passed soon after independence to recognize women. Activities marking the day are planned for Port Moresby tomorrow, and no doubt other centres of the country as well. But the celebrations will not triumph achievements, but reflect struggles that appear to be ongoing for a better deal for women in the country. But in trying to plot a clear path towards advancement, women themselves may have placed their objectives at the crossroads in all fronts, and men have not helped either. To discuss all issues affecting women in Papua New Guinea, violence, leadership, hardships, cooperation or the lack of it, so on and so forth, we have on Tok Piksa the President of the National Council of Women, Scholar Kakas, and Lily Tua, the General Secretary of the Council. Lily and Scholar, thank you very much for joining us. Women in Papua New Guinea have been heard very loud here as well as overseas, and for the wrong reasons.
The National Council of Women, with the assistance of from the Law Reform Commission at that time, was Joseph Kanawi, who is now Joseph Akiris, and Dr. Christian Bradley started speaking out about domestic violence in 1992, and it spread out like a bushfire where all provincial councils of women and church women's organizations in the country took ownership of it and started raising awareness, and we're talking against domestic violence.
A lot of publicity as well.
A lot of publicity happened. A film was made, pamphlets were drawn up, and publicity on radio stations. NBC was greatly used at that time. Yes. And we gained more publicity from especially all provincial radio stations all over the country. And over the period, it has been an ongoing issue, and a lot of things have happened. We are grateful, National Council of Women is grateful now that everyone is taking ownership of domestic violence, gender-based violence. They're talking about violence now, and there's halfway centers being built. We are very grateful that through CIMs.
That doesn't say much about what the campaigns in those days, early in the 90s, didn't do much, did it, to quell this problem down, because it's still happening?
Well, at that time it didn't cost us a lot of money, but we have achieved a lot through the network of Women's Council and the churches. We have greatly spread the awareness throughout the country.
Despite all of this, coming to the forefront today, we are now perceived internationally as not in a good page at all in terms of our treatment towards women. And of course, you have been part of these campaigns against violence directed towards women. The problem today, there's nothing you can say that's good about that.
No, really, when you look at, when we all look at violence, violence is not only domestic violence. It's a widespread issue. For National Council of Women, we are looking at violence, and it's all forms of violence. Our theme for this year is Stop All Forms of Violence.
Okay.
Stop all forms of violence, because we are internationally, they are talking about violence. And our partners, donor partners coming to assist us are talking about violence. There's all forms of violence. So for Papua New Guinea National Council of Women, after coming a long way, we think it is time now we start addressing all forms of violence, because you went through our CEDAW report in 2010, when we did our country report, and the CEDAW, National Council of Women, had to present the CEDAW report, while government did the CEDAW report. Two things came out. from UN was to critically address the issue on women's participation in decision making, and especially at national parliament and all levels of decision making. And 2 was sorcery, witchcraft, and sorcery related killing.
Yes.
So we were to critically look at those 2 issues and address them in the country. So for National Council of Women of Papua New Guinea, we see that we have to address all forms of violence. If it needs to be put into the education curriculum unit, they have to start teaching our children to discipline them at a school age. It must be built into the curriculum to stop violence, all forms of violence. Like already we are seeing cults in schools. This has to stop. That is one form of violence. And also children fighting among themselves. This has to be stopped. We're looking at incest. Uncles abusing, molesting their own niece, or father molesting the child, or having to have relationship with the child and all that. This has to stop. It is also rape is another form of violence. We're talking about tribal fight. Tribal fight is also violence. Just look at everything that we are saying. It is all forms of violence, and it is no longer a family issue, a community issue. It is a country issue. Yes. It affects the development of this nation as a whole. And we have to have solutions to it. It's not just talking about it. Enough is enough.
Scholar Kakas and Lily Tua of the National Council of Women on Tok Piksa. Back with more after the break. You're back to Tok Piksa. Guests on the show are Scholar Kakas, the president, and Lily Tua, the general secretary of the National Council of Women. Women advancement, or the lack of it, on the 34th anniversary of the establishment of the organization. A lot of talk has been out in the forefront, a lot of publicity, bad, and then you have a lot of splinter groups of women coming up to address these things. Cohesiveness, is there cohesiveness within women themselves to address this thing front on?
Yes, as we can see now, it is a problem. Violence is a problem. It is good to see every woman coming up and talking about it. All, groups are amazing. Everyone is talking. It is good. That shows the country, that shows the government that it is a widespread concern.
Yes.
And it needs to be critically addressed by government to get some laws in place. There must be legislations to protect the rights of people, to protect the lives of people, women, children, men, everybody. No one has any right to just, to violate any laws, to kill anybody.
This legislation, National Council of Women, do you feel you have powers to do certain things that you would, as a legitimate constituted body, to get done what you want to do? Or are you just a group established by some law some years back and not enough teeth to do things?
Thank you. That brings us back to the reason for us celebrating the National Women's Day on the 24th of March. The 24th of March, we are celebrating it because in March, back in 1979, that's when the National Council of Women got enacted by an Act of Parliament. But it was established as the voice for the women to speak up about issues affecting women, and it was just a voice. It didn't carry much weight to for the government to really fund it properly, get it out, to truly represent the voice of women, and get legislations, call for legislations and all things to be done. Seriously, there was no seriousness in really getting to understand what women were trying to come up. We have achieved a lot quietly, even though You know, we thought we didn't
women in the public service,
yes,
getting up
women
there
in the
business.
public everywhere. There's
right.
women everywhere now.
So the gender thing is there, but I guess
But coming back to having, like, let's say, Women's Council didn't have the teeth to bite.
Okay.
Okay.
But you're doing something about it in Parliament now. I mean, you're trying to get parliamentarians to do something. Maybe you, as General Secretary, Lily, maybe you can shed some light into what stages you are with politicians to get some acts in or legislation in place to support your cause.
We push as much as we can. For example, 22 reserve seat, they call it, but it is a 22 seats that called for by internationally. It is a measure of a temporary measure to see that women increase the parliament number of women in the parliament, and by them being there in kind of practice and them making decisions at the parliament, how is it affecting that society, and you know, is it and the people will feel that yes, women can be in the parliament, they're making difference down here. So when that mentality is sink into the minds of people, and then we can stop this temporary measure, and then women can go in an open field and contest. That is the whole thing about it. But people don't understand that we are trying to go there in like come from the back.
Okay, understanding is probably the operative word here. Do women understand it themselves? I mean, again, I go to this cohesiveness amongst yourselves, the professional women, the women in the villages, you yourselves. You don't seem to be together. You seem to be talking from different vantage points here, and that is probably your undoing.
Yeah, you are not wrong there in the development.
All right. President, can you tell me, is there envyism and jealousy amongst women in PNG towards themselves?
Yes.
Of course, we cannot deny that. As women, I mean, this is natural. We can't deny that there's jealousy amongst ourselves, there's envy. I do better than the other.
Yes.
Of course, that is all there.
And that is a problem now.
It is a problem. Yeah. But also, we have to understand very well that the kind of movement and the women's movement that we are involved in is a voluntary job.
Yes.
It's not a full-time paid job. Everyone, our government needs to know that. No one can volunteer for that long. Now, with the kind of violence that is taking place, it is not safe for a woman to travel from a district or from a rural local setting into the provincial headquarters to see what is there for women, what is there for women to benefit from. How can she participate as an individual in the development process? And I'm speaking from experience because I've been out there. I've been in the provincial setting. I've come a long way. I've been in the village. I've operated with the church women. I've operated with the local women. You know for yourself how much I've been involved in the women's movement. It's a pain to be volunteers and to sacrifice for our other sisters to come this far. Even today, what can an 100,000 budget grant that is allocated by the government do for the women of Papua New Guinea?
That's how much you get now, huh?
Yes.
Of course.
100,000.
100,000. And that was 100,000 was budgeted as a grant for women from the PNG government from 1982 up until now.
Wow.
Up until now.
And you are expected to do so many things.
And we are expected to do so many things. We are expected to be partners in the development. Just look at the Vision 2050. Look at the medium-term development plan, the government strategies to implement. Yet, Papua New Guinea has the highest rate of infant and maternal mortality rate. We women should be taking ownership of our own health.
You're back to Tok Piksa. We're talking to the President and the General Secretary of the National Council of Women on the 34th anniversary of the Council. The theme is, this year, Stop All Forms of Violence.
It's a new millennium we are in. We're talking about those other days. We have to appreciate what women have done voluntarily to get this women's movement moving, and talking about issues that are developmental issues that contributes to this nation's building. Yet we have been ignored.
Yeah, you're talking to Minister Lujaya Tony about these things. Are you on par with that with her?
Yes, we have discussed with her.
Okay.
We have discussed with Dame Kidu. We would like to acknowledge Dame Kidu. She's done a lot of policies, she's done a lot of things, and therefore she was the one who was at the back of moving, seeing that it is important to increase the number of women in Parliament.
Is that something you ladies are pursuing, of course?
Of course, it's a call from women all over the country. We cannot give up. We cannot back off from it. But importantly, we have to get the first thing first, that we want to see our National Council of Women amended bill go through. And it will be going through the Parliament through this in this March session. The final reading will go through. And that will pave way for women to plan what is the next way forward for us. And we have to critically look at all these issues. The National Council of Women will be stating it's supposed to be convention, but because of this bill that is before the Parliament, we cannot call it a convention. We have to state a special AGM, and we're taking that up into Mount Hagen. First and foremost reason is we've been criticized, and what is affecting us is islands being the coffee growing country. NGOs in America have pushed for banning of import of coffee from Papua New Guinea. It came out on MTV 2 weeks ago. And that is a problem. That also, again, it will be a double burden on women of the Highlands province and other parts of the country that grows coffee. Now, government has to really think critically about this. The movement can stop. If they had done it for logging before, they would do it for coffee this time. So it is serious that we have to address. They are doing it in protest over the witchcraft and social killing of that Enga woman in Mount Hagen. And we need to address that issue critically. That's the reason why we are taking. And also from the research of 92 that they've done, they've said that violence is bad in the Highlands. It's almost 100%. There was violence in every home. And as an islander, I feel that we need to address it from the center of the Highlands region, so that it must be an issue spoken in every household.
Is government going to be up there?
Yes, we are inviting the Prime Minister to be there to officially open this special AGM for us. And we want to address that issue
Minister
on the first
Tony?
day.
Yes.
Minister Tony will be there. There'll be a couple of other ministers there as well. And United Nations, we're inviting United Nations and Australian High Commission to be there as well, because they are the donor partners who are assisting us to spend more money in that field of violence. And we want to call upon them to see and hear about all those things. So we'll be staging the official opening on the 22nd of April in Mount Hagen. And that whole week we'll be meeting from the 22nd to the 26th of April. We'll be meeting in Mount Hagen. And the theme of it is stop all forms of violence. Stop all forms of violence.
What about this women's group? They're calling themselves Women Rise in PNG. Will you be inviting representatives there? Because they appear to be saying that the National Council of Women is not doing enough.
Okay, fine. That's a good challenge. But National Council of Women, as we said, it has been volunteering, and we've been keeping the fire going, and it's good for the young ones to take up from us now.
The reserve seats, or the seats for the lady, how confident are you? I mean, the Minister for Youth, Community Affairs believes men will not come to you on that. Although you've gone through certain stages, you're successful so far, you're just hanging on there. How do you think that'll all get through?
More awareness and education needs to be done. Our minister is against it, but she has to critically look at it. It is spelled out very clearly in our CEDAW, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. That was signed by the government of Papua New Guinea in '95. It spells out in that as well. That is one of the actions that the government has to take.
I think, President, I think you are doing well right now. You have 3 ladies in Parliament right now. You have women as departmental secretaries. You have education levels are going up in women. So you are getting somewhere.
When you educate a woman, you are educating the whole nation. When you save the women, you are saving the whole nation. And to have women for the reserve seat, coming back to that question, it's not that I'm ignoring it, but that is the general feeling of women. Dame Kidu was there, she was a lone fighter. The 3 of them there will still not make any difference. You know why I'm saying that? Because they'll be concentrating on their own electorates. They'll be not fully speaking and addressing the issues of women, that is issues of the children, that is also issues of this country. And after time, they forget about those little things, nitty-gritties in the home that affects the entire family. So when you really look at the development, and when you approach development, you start with each individual family. The little things in the home contributes to bigger problem in the family. It is the same with the country. If you ignore the mothers, you're ignoring why cry out for the social problems that are increasing in Papua New Guinea? Why do we have to talk about all those things? Marijuana, increase on marijuana, people dying every now and then, rise of HIV/AIDS, infant and maternal mortality rates being high, the social problems are increasing every day. For a country like Papua New Guinea, it's filthy rich, with only 7 million that can be managed. Yeah. But let's manage it together, equally.
Give me a scenario. Give me what the women's position will be should you not get the reserve seats at all.
Women will not give up. We have the LG elections coming up. As women, we will keep pushing and pursuing for women to get in. And it is not a discrimination. Women are not fighting and talking just to increase and improve the life standard of a woman. Women are talking family. Women are talking the well-being of this country. And it is only fair that we be given a chance. Try us out. See how we can contribute. Try us out. Right now, we really need to be funded properly, to participate actively.
Just on funds, let me say 100,000 kina. How much money do you want? Tell members of parliament how much money do you want?
I'd like to see $1 million out of their 10 million allocation.
Okay.
If they put aside 1 million per district, that is very good.
Towards women, just for women.
Towards women. Yep. And that money, that funding alone can assist not only women, it will assist the children, it will assist the family, it will assist the entire community.
Okay. On that, and I think it's something members of parliament need to chew on, we are running out of time, ladies, and we'll end it there. Thank you very much for your time. Scholar Kakas, President of the National Council of Women, and Lily Tua, General Secretary of that same organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I forget, happy National Women's Day to every woman of Papua New Guinea. It's today, 24th March, is our National Women's Day.
That's been Tok Piksa, marking the 34th anniversary of the National Council of Women. Our guests on women issues have been Scholar Kakas, the President, and Lily Tua, the General Secretary of the National Council of Women. Port Moresby residents are asked to join activities marking the anniversary at Unagi Oval after a march from Tabari Place tomorrow. Join in and join us on another edition of Tok Piksa at the same time today week. Thank you for watching.